are great. You start placing that drop shot over in the cut, like it just makes a difference. And this battle for mid control is one of the most crucial fights that we will see as of yet. And overall, though, Pittsburgh Knights running through Reciprocity. Kenny last alive, and he's going to have to face 3 strong Identives. Runs right through him. And absolutely taking the words out of my mouth, right? Pittsburgh Knights, I was just saying about how much they're going to struggle. Reciprocity is such a great team on this map.
That was 29 seconds.
And Pittsburgh Knights, 29 seconds comes through.
It was sub
and wins
30.
that round. Phenomenal. The rest, I don't think did Reciprocity get a kill?
There's no way they did, surely.
Maybe one in mid, but that was it.
I didn't get a chance to look, but if you're winning a round in 30 seconds.
29 seconds.
Okay, well, for being specific, no, I'm joking. Yeah, 29 seconds.
Hey. We see a lot of 30-second rounds, but we don't see 20-second rounds.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of like 32, 34.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, a few in the 40s are pretty common, but
20s?
20, yeah. I don't think I've ever seen a round get lower than.
I think 27 is the lowest.
I think
ever
so.
Seen.
That was like in Gears of War 4.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but
That's
yeah.
Quick regard. And it just comes to show you, right, that fight for mid, these teams are committing so much to it because they know how important it is, right? It gives you that transfer over towards Bravo. It gives you control of juice, so you can just pepper shots right with that Lancer fire onto the neutral hill. It's just one of those fights you have to win. And right now, Pittsburgh Knights is doing just that. They're already OEing straight over towards the home hill. You notice they don't even try to capture their own home hill of Charlie, right? They're focused on the Reciprocity's hill. It makes sense. In this fight, Kenny needs to hold his own. He's going to be in a 1v2. Now it's going to be a 2v2. He'll be joined by one of his teammates. If Pittsburgh Knights would have captured their initial hill, they would have had a domination already.
Solid point to bring up. Monkeys inside of Cinema trying to stay alive. Like I said, a lot of bodies still to fall. Franchise being one of those. Pittsburgh continuing to roll, as you called it. Icy, however, still up, surviving, thriving. Jiving. Taken down.
One more.
I thought I had another one in me, but not going to be the case. Icy, though, does manage to stay alive. So through all of the corals, through all of the problems, Reciprocity will still manage to have enough lives to capture back at B. And Dezo angrily has to look over at the objectives that unfortunately just did not go his team's way in that sequence. As Rec will now take the lead. Player number 1, though, Identives. I thought for a moment, I thought he was about to rush in there. I was a little bit shocked as for the positioning of the opposition. However, maybe that was a bait. The bait possibly working out. The captain sacrificing himself for the betterment of his team. Identives now going for the 1v1 over at B. In the meantime, Pittsburgh, they get the decap over at A.
And this is why it's so fun to watch LATAM teams. They immediately push over towards this home hill. And that's something that you traditionally don't see, I think, from the NA side. Obviously, always do happen. But I swear the LATAM scene just loves to get in your face, get into that home hill, go for it. It's just something special to watch. And if it works out, it really can turn the tides in your favor. Icy, though, is definitely holding it down. Reciprocity going for a domination. Identives trying to put a player on skates. Wins the melee, though.
That's big.
And that will be Rushies, unfortunately falling to his demise. But you do notice, though, Reciprocity starting to answer back themselves. 3 players will drop Pittsburgh Knights. They only have Dezo and Identives up. Reciprocity applying that pressure, but not too much. They don't want to go ahead and go for that overextension as of yet. They know their lead. It's massive, right? 168 to 108. They just need to maintain the hills that they currently have. Pittsburgh Knights, they're the ones who have to put themselves out there and get overly aggressive.
Nice mid pick for franchise. It's Pittsburgh. We continue to talk about it. It has been their aggression that necessarily hasn't netted them future success if they don't find the opening break. A lot of times it's either they win the round or they instantly lose it. Down, obviously, they have to make the rush forward, trying to get the decap onto A. Identives is going to have to dance his way through this, and he will. Manages to get the decap, keeping in mind that in the midst of all this taking place, no one has gone back to B.
Yeah.
All of the Pittsburgh Knights players have rotated so much that no one's able to get the decap, so even if they did successfully make the pinch happen, no one was there to go for B. Reciprocity would walk away with the round regardless. That's the way that it partakes. They take the early advantage and they ride it out.
Two things happened there, at least I can theorize, is Pittsburgh Knights just assumed that they would walk through Reciprocity, retake that hill, and have enough time to go over towards Bravo. You did see player number 2, and I think that's Sleeper, who started rotating over towards B, but it was just a little bit too late. So either Pittsburgh Knights thought they were going to run through Reciprocity, easily retake that hill with plenty of time to get the B, or there just simply wasn't communication, and players weren't aware of where each player was for Pittsburgh Knights on the map itself, map presence. So regardless, that overall is really unfortunate. I think Pittsburgh Knights definitely could have got the neutralization on B like you mentioned, and if they would have done so, Reciprocity, that would have sent them in a frenzy. They probably would have had to rotate back, and who knows, Pittsburgh Knight might have got that domination there. Regardless, though, the writing is on the wall. We're tied up 1-1. Reciprocity finally answers back.
Do indeed. Of course, if you're just joining us, it was Reciprocity that did take Asylum. Game number 1, 5 rounds to 4. That was on Pittsburgh's map choice. All things considered, a big one for them to take. Came down to the minor details that allowed for the NA squad to take the first one over LATAM. Of course, we're in District. Game number 3, if Pittsburgh can walk away with this, would be on good old training grounds. See, a lot of Game 3s go there. Known territory for both of these lineups as Identiv's taken a decent amount of shots.
Nice.
As they'll manage to finish off one onto Kenny. Also providing some support fire there onto Rushies as well. Wants to hop back into the fight. Like we said, overall, Reciprocity doing great work off the rip. Pittsburgh on multiple occasions. Lancer working out so well for Identivs. Pittsburgh, they're doing a great job at the 50-yard line so far.
Well, can they go all the way? They're going to be over onto Charlie now, collapsing in. That fight was big right at that point. Icy, if he goes down, Pittsburgh Knights was going to have total domination. They were going to be able to sandwich the players, the final players over on Charlie. Regardless, though, it might not even matter, as Pittsburgh Knights was still playing around with it. That's going to leave Identivs in the back. Lancer fire. He's not going to be able to be successful as of yet. He's forced to back up. He knows this, but I get the idea. It was a great push from Pittsburgh Knights. It almost worked out. Reciprocity tried to throw a Hail Mary. They had Powers, who rotated by himself down the Alpha. Pittsburgh Knights committed 3 players to try and retake it. And I thought at that point Reciprocity would have the man advantage, which they did on the B, but in the end it just didn't work out. Pittsburgh Knights held their own. And now we see Reciprocity trying to answer back, and they will do so onto B. Should be able to take this over, but forced to back up. I gotta say, Land, the Pittsburgh Knights, they're playing this well.
Yeah, they're holding strong. Unfortunately, 2 players instantly get taken down. That's actually 3. Chaos as well gets finalized, and Sleeper has to watch it all unfold. Fran making a big break in the meantime over at A. A lot of chaos in partaking for Pittsburgh. Denibs at least managed to grab it over at A, but what seemed like a good situation for Pittsburgh instantly gets turned on its head. Reciprocity reclaimed control over at B. They're about to have the advantage back in their favor. And now it's for Pittsburgh. Are you in the camp of wanting to go for the overextension? Are you more interested in maybe wanting to push it B? It looks as if the OE is what they have their eyes on. However, it always could be a bait. Always could be a bait. You see them, based on the way that their players are moving around the minimap, it is still somewhat undecided. Unfortunately, Identivs, as he starts to rush on through, the captain is taken down. But where does the leadership come from? It comes from Slang. And situations just like that as Dezenide comes through, takes down 2, takes down a 3rd. Also playing the medic role. Lovely damage done from Dezo. As Pittsburgh, they grab B. They're also on the OE over at C. Keep in mind, though, player 0, Icy, comes through with the big advantage. Grabs a flag over at A. Also puts him in a position of which he's going to be able to make this contest difficult for Pittsburgh. That is a veteran-like play. However, the collapse is still inbound. Reciprocity, they're off of their spawn. But it's not going to be enough. Pittsburgh, if they grab B, they're good. They're in the clear. Kenny's not going to get this one in time.
I don't think they are. Reciprocity. This round just slipped through their fingertips at this point. Yeah, it absolutely did. A great retake from Pittsburgh Knights. Maintaining composure through and through. That play going through mid was the absolute play to make, because how many times have we seen Pittsburgh Knights, after losing the neutral hill, then go for that OE attempt? They do it every single time, right? It's just a LatTown a favorite, if you will, LatTown special. Going through mid, threw Reciprocity completely for a loop. And despite, I thought Reciprocity was holding their own, because at one point in time, Kenny was slaying out. We saw a couple players drop off from Lancer Fire too. But in the end, like you said, team captain is the one that slays out, and that's exactly what Pittsburgh Knights did. They came through, they won their fights, and they take a very close, narrow victory off of that round, and that forces now a drop shot to be placed in Cinema. Reciprocity needs to switch things up, but this is scary for Pittsburgh Knights now. I've seen time and time again Reciprocity win this fight for the drop shot, specifically here on District. And who do we have to watch out for? It's going to be none other, of course, than Rushies and probably Powers.
Yeah, Rushies absolutely dominant when it comes down to the drop shot off the rip. Something that you always have to be aware of, and it looks as if Idenev's very much in awareness of what's currently going down.
Wow.
Pittsburgh. Insane stuff over at Cinema, making it look simple. And it's really, if you're Rec, you're feeling the pressure after that. You've obviously got A in your control. Somehow Powers manages to escape. Deso was pretty much just target practice. Unfortunately, couldn't hit the clay pigeon. Powers soars back over toward his home hill, and now, for the meantime, as Pittsburgh Knights reflect on their good fortune, they will be able to retake the advantage. However, take a look toward the top side of the map. Like we discussed, Rushies actually managed to take the drop shot. He's got that in his control, and I heard the first shot expire. Nothing found, it seems.
I just don't think Reciprocity has the respawn economy to win this round, right? Shortest respawns, we've seen Pittsburgh Knights slay out. And even with Pittsburgh losing a couple of lives, the only one who's really in danger of being on his last life is, in fact, going to be Chaos and Monkeys. And Identives will, in fact, take Franchise down. And he'll be spawning up on his last life himself. He'll be joining Kenny. At this point in time, Pittsburgh Knights is 100% in the driver's seat. Reciprocity, I think their only answer at this point is to get a domination or a full team wipe, because in a full team wipe, it's going to be nearly impossible with the respawns being as low as they are. I think Pittsburgh Knights is going to be leading in the second half, 3-1.
Looks to be that way. Reciprocity, double home hill setup. Player number 8. What we were looking at just for the moment, Powers in a very nice position. Icy toward the bottom side. And Powers on the flank, like we talked about it. In that position, has an ability to go off. However, it is a full-on rush for Reciprocity at C. They've invested a lot, and Powers is starting to be singled out. A big one for them to take. Deso enters into 0 respawns, but it is Reciprocity who are dealing with the pressure of lives at this moment. Icy trying to back out. He'll be dropped and finalized as Sleeper puts a boot to the throat. Fran right around the corner. And Fran actually does take him down. A nice kick just before he gets dropped. That's, at the very least, a nice way to fade out if you're Rec. They've still got the advantage. Of course, Reciprocity will lose that as time goes on, but still yet, they've got a lot of work to do. And like we said, we're looking at a permanent 4v5 as Franchise was dropped.
That's where Pittsburgh needs to stick together. They can't afford to lose any more lives at this point. They definitely are in the driver's seat. I'm kind of curious where Kenny's drop shot, how much of an effect that is going to have, right? If it connects onto Monkeys or Deso, that could even out the odds just a little bit. Reciprocity still very much so, though, in the lead, but for how long? It looks as if it's only going to be a couple more seconds. Power's going to have a lot of pressure.
That's
Hitting
huge.
a couple of bricks on a
That's
couple
huge.
players. Sleeper will, in fact, drop. Can he get the finish? He will, in fact, get the meat shield. He's going to apply the pressure onto Monkeys. Eventually, though, he is going to be dropped. You hear the Dawn coming through. The COG team is, in fact, going to win. The time is going to be half. No! Reciprocity will answer back onto A. Gets a touch. Monkeys needs to get this capture. Regardless, though, Reciprocity still needs a couple of breaks. But a player number 2 from Pittsburgh Knights is going to sneak over onto B. He's going to be able to take that without any question. And Pittsburgh Knights will, in fact, be leading in the second half 3-1.
I'll be honest with you. If Powers can somehow win that 1v2, that's Reciprocity's round right there. It would have been. They would have had the double. They would have had double caps. Pittsburgh was a little bit late on the rotation. Powers probably would have been contested from the extra player that makes the OE from one side to the next, but I'm sure that he just hangs around cover, maybe even just holds on for as long as possible. Obviously, we're saying Powers, if he walks away with the 1v2, as if that's an easy thing to do, but at the very least, I think if he walks away with that, that's Rec's round.
But they still had nobody on B, though, so that's the tough thing.
They held it. Like, they had B in their control. There was no one from Pittsburgh who can contest that. I think it was a 1v1 still. Nonetheless, Pittsburgh, they walk away with it. And now they find themselves in a 3-1 position. Story of the last round was the early dominance they had versus Rushies. Identivs, everybody flashed so much. No flash photography inside the cinema. Rushies, great work. Lots of things to look at. And it looks as if he will manage to escape with the drop shot. That's big for Rec here.
That's big, too. He gets the drop on the Chaos Monkeys, gets drops as well.
Oh, that's 5.
That's 5 down. Identivs, he's going to be the hero spawning up arbitrarily. Regardless, though, I was going to highlight, right, you know, Rushies, he needed to win that initial. He did just that. Will it even be enough, though? Reciprocity.
They're spawning
Going
up
for that domination, spawning up. D, though, quickly going to be in the favor of Reciprocity. And just like that, a couple of respawns will, in fact, go to waste. And Reciprocity, a quick round, 52 seconds, right? Not as quick as the 29 seconds off round 1, but regardless, it's a start. Maybe second half is their half, and it started with Rushies, right? Winning that initial, he's the key factor here, I do strongly believe. If he continues to win these engagements, specifically taking out Identivs, because Identivs came in and just absolutely flew at Rushies.
Yeah.
But there was just so many flashes. Like,
there's at least
12.
12. I feel like that they literally couldn't even think about pulling out their weapon if they wanted to, or at least firing it.
It came down to who was going to be, not stunned first, right? And to be able to come up and just get the chunk. And in that case, it was Rushies, just by a fraction of a second.
Yeah, you got to give props to Rushies. Of course, the team support from Reciprocity doing great damage. Obviously going to focus on this. Good old one. Both players fire off a flash right next to each other. Headbutting in sequence is the knife. Stronger for Rushies. Keep in mind, Dezo actually on the flank. He'll get met with the drop shot to the side. He'll stay alive at least for the time. The pistol fire will take him down. Reciprocity, that's 3 down for a short moment in terms of Pittsburgh Knights' player count. No one yet to grab a
Powers.
one as of yet. Powers trying to go big. Does get taken down. That's the OE opportunity that Reciprocity was looking to make, and it's unsuccessful.
I was going to say, if Powers wins that 1v2, that's going to be deadly. Reciprocity would easily been able to OE their way over towards the home hill. Now they're forced to back off. I'm liking this pressure from Pittsburgh Knights. They're pushing Reciprocity back. They're slowly retaking control. But you're right, the flank is in fact going to occur. It's not going to make any effect, though. Reciprocity now applying that pressure for themselves. And it's just going to be a push and pull, right? That fight for E, the fight for mid control is going to continually take place. But at this point in time, Pittsburgh Knights can rest easy because they're in control.
You can rest easy, but you got to be aware of what could be a future horror. That drop shot. Rushies says, hey, you know what? I could fire this off anytime if I wanted to. Are you worthy enough for the shot? Nice pistol. Powers put through the initial damage. Rushies was there for the helpful cleanup. The lovely assist is that will be wrecked just due to the presence of the drop shot. They'll reclaim control over at E. Look at the OE. Look at the OE opportunity.
OE is in fact taking place, right? We know Pittsburgh Knights loves to go for the OE. Who's that player number 7? It's going to be Kinney. Fighting it off himself over on Dezo. Dezo hops over. That is a mistake you don't want to make, especially against Kinney. But Rushies will take Icy out by his own teammate. I have seen so many team kills tonight. It is absolutely insane. Pittsburgh Knights, they smell blood in the water. They're going to push forward. Franchise, he's going to get dropped himself. He's at 0%. He's not even spawning in at this point. Are they just going to concede this round and give it to Pittsburgh Knights? It looks as if they might.
Yeah, looks as if that's going to be the case. Kinney choosing not to either. Pittsburgh, they'll walk away with this, it seems, obviously based off of certain players. Sometimes if they make some progression, they'll be able to walk away with it, but Identivs, he's got the drop shot. Feeling good. Wreck. Actually, they're all spawning in. I thought for a moment they weren't going to. However, they have some new life. They've got their home hill. They've also reclaimed control at E, totally catching Pittsburgh off guard.
They've got to get the break, though.
They do. They have to go for it. That's going to be 0, a.k.a. Icy going for the initial decap. Domination threat. Identivs comes through, takes him down with the drop shot. Keeping in mind the deficit that Reciprocity has, they cannot afford to allow for a hill to be in control of Pittsburgh. They have to make the right plays. Rushy, I think he just ADS, but he didn't fire. And Pittsburgh, they'll make him pay. A respawn situation for Rec, and they will lose their lives on it. And that's a huge swing round for Pittsburgh to take.
Sure. Pittsburgh Knights wins that round, but they win a lot more. That sets them up very nicely going into the next round to potentially take this map, force a Game 3 on Training Grounds. Not only did it win the last round, they also win the respawn economy for round number 6. So overall, they're sitting pretty. And I got to say, I'm pretty worried about Reciprocity, and I don't think at this point in time they'll be able to take this next round unless they slay out. Their only option is to absolutely run through Pittsburgh Knights off the initial. And they could do it, right? I mean, they have been doing a great job in the previous 2 rounds winning that drop shot. If they can have a round like they did, I think, in, what was it, round number 4, or at least the first round off the half, round number 5, they could potentially bring this 4-3. That'll help their respawn economy, but they've got to finish this round quickly. Identives, he can absolutely turn things around. If he wins these first, yeah, that's going to spell trouble. Icy forced to back off. Drop shot in the hands of Pittsburgh Knights. Landon, I think they just won their 5th round.
It looks to be the case. Spirits dampened for Rec. They'll at least try to get something done over at E. Power's going to get the captain in time, and no, he cannot. Also silenced on the stairs. Monkeys makes him wait just a few seconds longer, making the pain start to dive in. That's 3 down yet again for Rec. Having some problems off the start, and for good reason, just because of the way that Pittsburgh has looked so far throughout this game. Rushy's nice shot off the rip, but Pittsburgh, they're just swarming right now. Pretty much on the final curve before they get into the OE opportunity. Player number 7, someone to look out for is Kenny. Has the option to try to go for the opposite OE onto Pittsburgh Knights' home hill. And for Rack, they can't afford to lose players like that. A nice job there for Monkeys to pretty much establish damage over at one side, instantly finalize the other.
Drop shot.
And Identives takes down Rushies there with a nice drop shot.
Yeah, at this point, Reciprocity, they've got to commit all of their resources to win this round, and unfortunately, they're dropping left and right. Pittsburgh Knights turning up, winning their fights, and just like that, franchise last life, Rushies last life. You got a couple sitting at 1 out of 4 themselves. Identives continues to slay out. 37 elims, 10 deaths. He has had a great game. Of course, as I say that, gets taken out, but regardless, that will not nullify the fact that he has been absolutely slaying out. A good lead already in points and counting for Pittsburgh Knights. They're already set up, or excuse me, Reciprocity is going to be set up for the drop shot. And this next break needs to take place. This is going to be the final nail in the coffin. If Pittsburgh Knights wins this drop shot fight, that's it.
Looks to be the case. Trying to the timing. Rushies knows he has to succeed, trying to distance out Pittsburgh, but does not want to be taken down. Obviously, if so, his final life possibly of the series. The flash, it's actually a miss. It hits right off the pole. Can Rushies go big? He has to distance back. He is full red, and there is the drop shot. It's on board. Chaos, he finds Icy. There goes Franchise. Rushies a position to try to make something happen, but it's all for naught. That's the drop shot, and that will be the round as well as the game. Pittsburgh, they will hold on and take what was Reciprocity's map choice of District. Both teams losing their map choices, as now we have a very interesting map 3 on Training Grounds getting ready to come up as we now transition into